Alright, well I thought I would go through some of the features of the Presonus StudioLive. One of the things I like the best about this board is that the next day you can remix your show. We're a band that runs sound from stage. I'm the lead singer. I also run the sound, which sounds like a lot, and sometimes it is. This board helps me primarily because all the controls are here on the horizontal surface. I don't have to go down below to adjust compressors, adjust EQs, things you don't want to do a lot anyway when you're running sound from stage. But, I get a lot of visual things all at once. I have really no order I'm going to show these things in, but just wanted to show some of the things. What I like is I can quickly look at the input levels of everything. We're using 14 channels on the board. I've got 5 not on right now because we're not using them for this song. I've been mixing down the song here. But that's the inputs. You can quickly look at the outputs, see where everybody is. I don't use the gain reduction much, but you can look and see the gain reduction on every channel. I've got downward expanders pretty tight on the backup vocals and on some of the instruments that may have a slight hum or something, or I've figured out is again I can mix it the next day and kind of optimize where the best place for the downward expander on there. I don't really use the aux as much, but these are the all the signals coming out of the aux ends, so you can see where everything is there. And I usually leave it on output, as that's what we're worried about when we're mixing a show. Right now I'm currently running a song through a laptop, like I said, back into the mixer, and I'm mixing it down. That's what all these firewire buttons are for up top. If I turn them off, the channels go dead. So that's how you get it back into your computer. What else? Probably the coolest thing is the fat channel. That is this area right here. And let's choose my vocals, I guess. I ran stereo last night since I was recording, and I linked those together. So you can hear I'm soloing just the vocals, but when I hit select, it just called up the channel that I have going on. I've got a 100 pass filter there. I've got a gate going with about a half a second release on it. I've got a 3-to-1 compression that comes on pretty early. Mostly I did that for the recording. Last night I didn't really do that. I'll have to reset the board a little bit when I'm done recording. And I've just kind of got a, do I have the compressor on? Yes, I do. I've got it on auto. I usually, like I said, don't use that as much. I've got a compressor on my harmonizer that I use more. EQ-wise, I've got a few of the EQs on. There's 4-band semi-parametric. You can do a shelf on the high and the low, which is kind of like your bass and treble controls. And in the middles, you can do what's called high Q, which makes a smaller notch that you're affecting with. Right now, I have a slight cut at 320. I have a slight cut at 1.6K, and then I have a shelf that's raising up 4 dB at about 7, just to give a little more sparkle to the vocal. What's really cool in doing is when you record it back here with like a studio monitor, which I have in headphones, you can kind of keep the EQs flat on the main board itself. I'm going to turn this off because you've got everything about as flat as you can get. And what that really lets you know when you're at a show is how your speakers sound. I've learned over time my speakers are a little bit hot around 2 to 3K, and so I dull those down a little bit, tame those a bit, probably 2 to 4K at the show. So when recording, I don't really have to do much because the channel strips are where I want them to be, and you kind of suit the room to the with the main EQ. And you have a main EQ in a couple places. You have by selecting the main fat channel here, you've got compression. I do a tiny bit, maybe like 1.5, mostly for this recording. Again, I don't compress much at a show, a little bit maybe. I've got all the EQs off right now. You can turn these off and on, even though the high Q's lit up. You've got them all off again. I just wanted everything flat since I'm kind of recording. I didn't really want the color of the board affecting all the channels by using the EQ. So, but it also has a 31 band EQ, And it's about the only thing buried in the system menu. It's something they just released with their new firmware, and I will go to it. And there it is. It's kind of interesting to get used to, but it's not something you're really going to mess with much during the show anyway. But what it is you take the main dial here and you can go through, and that's 20 hertz, 25, 32, 40, 50, and so forth. And you can, lower and raise it. See, it goes, you can give it almost 16 dB a gain and 16 dB a cut. You can flatten just by hitting the recall button, and it'll take everything to flat. So that's kind of cool. I flattened it again for this recording at the show. I'll cut some things out. Yeah, so my subs actually are kind of loud at about 100 hertz too, so I take a pretty big cut out of that. But I use the semi-parametrics on that. It's kind of nice. You have the 31 band, and then you have also that 4-channel semi-parametric. So I have it off right now, but at a show I'm cutting about 100 hertz pretty severely, so I'll probably take a little more than that. So that's kind of neat. I don't really use the sub groups much. I could, I just don't. It's just one less thing I have to worry about. Because then when you use the subs, you've got the fader and the sub, and you have to kind of constantly keep going back and forth with them. I'm going to go to the auxes. They're up here. The auxes, you can select them the same way. You've got EQ on the auxes. You also have the mix control, which again shows everything in the same area. You kind of get used to it. It seems like a lot of different things are showing up on here, and they are, but it's pretty easy to read because you know what button you're hitting and what you're looking for on here. Here's every channel, how much level of each I have. There's the next one, That's for my harmonizer. I just have the guitar going through for some songs so I can cue off the harmonies. There's another. It's got 6 separate ones you can do, and 2 for the effects. So you can still do 6 and use all 6 effects too. And you can mix your effects too. There's the number of effects I've got going. That's the reverb, which is an effects button. I can see A and B here. I've got going on, and that is a little bit of slap delay. I put a little bit of slap on the backup guys singing, and that's pretty much it. And then also up here in the far right corner, you kind of get a little snapshot of whatever you have selected too. It can be the main. Your subs are up here. You've got your gain reduction and your overall level. So that's a little bit about the board. I might come back and do some more, but that's it for now.